Hi everyone! Tonight we're going to do a special Q&A episode in which I introduce you to my videographer, Erinn.
Hey! Welcome to my apartment, guys. That's where we are. You know that I live down the block from Sarah's boat, so we're not too far from the boat. But tonight we're at my place and we're cooking tacos and having this Q&A. So firstly, Sarah, what an impressive shirt that is.
Thank you. Just thought I would, I'm not doing boat work tonight, so I thought I would just show another side of myself.
Just getting fancy for you guys. You should feel honored. I didn't have anything as cool as your blouse, so.
If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, or if you're one of my patrons, you'll probably know that I asked if anybody had any questions to submit for this Q&A ahead of time, and we got quite a few questions, so we're just going to go through them, starting with patrons first.
And if you don't already follow her on social media, check the box below for the links.
If your question doesn't get asked, rest assured there will be more Q&A videos in the future.
I've got the questions here on my phone, and we're just going to go through and answer them. You ready?
You want me to hold it so I can ask? Well, the first question is from my patron Art, who says, "Love the steady content. Thank you, Erinn, for bringing some responsibility to this channel." Yes, Erinn, thank you for whipping this channel into shape. Art asks, what are each of your plans and timelines going forward?
Thank you, Art, for the compliment on the improvements to the schedule that this channel has shown. It's a lot to be the subject of the videos, to also work on the boat, also film yourself working on the boat, also editing. It's easier, definitely, to keep a schedule and to stay regular with the two of us working on it than her doing it on her own. I've said for a few years now that I really want to have a catamaran by 50. So this is age 50. I'm 40 right now. I'm 39, turning 40 in January. And so that's 10 years that I have to learn how to sail and figure out how to fund my cat by 50.
Or maybe 45.
Hopefully sooner. Yeah. What are your plans for the future?
I want to be the first black woman to sail around the world alone. So my intermediate plan is to try to single-hand around Vancouver Island as a shakedown. And my tentative timeline for that is next summer of 2022. I first tried to sail around, single-hand around Vancouver Island back in summer of 2019. I have a video called 400 Mile Solo Sail if you want to have the whole story of my first attempt to single-hand around Vancouver Island.
Alright, so question number 2. Maribel asks, what inspired you to get into sailing in the first place? I'm going to let you answer that first.
I had never sailed before, and then in 2014, so 7 years ago, I watched a movie called Maiden Trip about Laura Decker, who became the youngest person to sail around the world alone. And it was really inspiring to just see all of the shots of this, like her solitude in the middle of the ocean, and you know, the peacefulness and the stars and the waves and you know, the sails blowing in the wind. It was kind of like a romantic vision of what I wanted to be. I wanted to be doing something like that, and I'd never been on a boat before.
I think that I've always had an appreciation for boats and their aesthetic, their form. I grew up in coastal cities, so I feel like that's just been part of the landscape. And I noticed through travel that I tend to gravitate towards cities like that, where you can kind of spend the day on the coast, maybe at the beach, something with nature, and then spend the evening in the city. So I don't know, like I said, I've spent a lot of time admiring them from land, and I just always thought that it would be really cool to get out there and experience, you know, beyond the coastline.
Karen Thorndike said something similar when she said how she got it. She was the first American woman. She has the Guinness. And she's my friend, and she said that that's when she first got into sailing. She was 31, and she was hiking the coastline of Vancouver Island, and she looked down and she saw the boats, and she realized there was a different way of travel.
Different POV.
Yeah.
Angie has the next question. It says, has Erinn sailed before, and what did she enjoy most about sailing? The last time I went sailing was the first time that I've ever been sailing. I've been on many different kinds of boats, 2 cruises, several motorboats, pontoon boats, little party boats you can rent with friends. I've been on inflatable boats, kayaks, canoes, but never an actual... I've been on a sailboat, but not while it was sailing. And I would have to say my favorite thing was the beauty of it. I definitely think the water and, you know, boats in general and sails, like, it's all just so beautiful. And our first sail was incredibly beautiful. It was a perfect blue sky and a beautiful day. And yeah, so I guess my favorite part was just how it looked, how the aesthetic of it.
So the next couple questions come from Jen, Skipper Jen.
Nice.
Why sailing?
I just think you get called to things. You see it, you see someone else doing it, and you say, that looks like it would be so much fun. And that's just something that clicked with me. Yeah. That's why. Why sailing for you?
Because I think I've always loved the water, but I never really got to be on the water a lot growing up. I was always very land-based, and every pursuit I did throughout my life was land-based. As soon as I saw that movie, it was like this whole other way of being in this whole other world that I had never considered before. And it was it was a challenge. It was like nature. It was, you know, not relying on any kind of fuel or power except the wind, and the fact that it could get you so far. It could get you farther than a car or any kind of driving or vehicle. Like, it could get you all around the world, and that's so powerful. And I guess I'm the kind of person who really loves to be challenged and who really likes to take on big goals and dreams. And even though I had never set foot on a sailboat at that time, I knew that I wanted to go really far and that I wanted to single hand. And, you know, I knew I was gonna, like, I knew, oh, I've never been on a boat before. I could get seasick. I've been on a boat. I went on a cruise. But I could get seasick. But, like, I didn't let any of that stuff, like, make me question, like, oh, maybe I don't know if I should do this or if this is for me. Like, I always started with, okay, maybe I will get seasick, but we'll deal with that when it comes. I'll find the right medication. If I get seasick, I'll figure that out. Like, I approach something with, like, this is my goal. I'll figure out how to get past it. And that's still how I feel after 6 years of sailing. I'm still going towards the same goal.
Yeah, so do you think it's safe to say that, I guess when you observe sailing and the tasks that are involved with it, it kind of aligns with certain personality traits that you have, and so you feel like it would just be a satisfying activity?
Yeah, personality traits. Yeah, like, my particular sailing goal probably aligns with my personality.
Right.
Because I want to learn all the technical stuff. I want to be able to manage the boat alone in the situation. I want to make sure that I know all of that stuff, and that's what most of my videos are about, is learning all of that stuff, like how to troubleshoot an engine or electrical system. And I'm interested in all aspects of that. Like, some people are heavy on the technical, some people are heavy on just sailing, but I want to have, like, all of it. I want to learn how to do all of it, and that's why I think that my goal as, like, a single-hander is the goal for me, is because that's what it's preparing me for.
Yeah, do you feel like you just like to be challenged in general? And so...
I do.
Yeah, this poses as a very fun way to be challenged.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I think that's part of it, for sure. And I just love it, too. Like, it's both.
It's both.
Yeah.
So another question that Jen has, what's been the hardest part of learning how to sail, and getting experience on a boat. You answer this first or me?
You go first. I've talked.
Okay. What the hardest part is probably access. I feel like personally, I didn't know anyone who owned a boat, who was a close friend, I suppose, until I met Sarah. So, and I actually did start trying to learn how to sail by looking up enrollment for the sailing school. There's a few sailing schools here in Seattle, but the main one, I think it's the main one.
The Seattle Sailing School?
Yeah. They were booked up for months, and so I was really bummed because it was the beginning of summer and I really wanted to sail this summer, and I thought I wouldn't have a chance to until the fall, which is their next availability. So I was just really lucky to come across Sarah and have her be open enough to, allow me to, as a stranger, to meet up with her and hang out on her boat with her. So yeah, I would say access is probably the hardest part at this point. I'm sure there will be other hard parts in the future, but at this point it was getting in there.
And how did you approach me?
Good setup. The way that Sarah and I met is I have been binging a bunch of sailing videos. I've explained to you guys that I love the aesthetic, and so I've watched so many sailing videos on YouTube, sailing movies, things like that. One of the things I love the most about YouTube is falling down rabbit holes, and this particular day I was searching different sailing vlogs. So this particular day, I was just curious if there were any vlogs out there of people of color doing this. Because, most of the vlogs that I saw were definitely not people of color. So, so I was just searching in, black sailors, black female sailors, and scrolling down, trying to find a vlog that might be a story close to what I imagine mine would be if I was sailing and on a boat. I saw in the video that she was docked at a marina that I know is really close to where I live. And then after watching the videos and seeing her personality, I knew that we would get along. And then also seeing her videos and what she's trying to do, I knew that I had something I could offer her, some way that I can help. So I just got the idea that if I offered that help, and some of you guys might have seen my comments, because I just wrote her a comment on a random video that I watched, just kind of explaining my idea that we could swap skills. And yeah, I definitely was nervous that you were going to think that I was because it's the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was I don't know how she's going to receive this.
And you were all prepared to convince me.
Yeah, I was I can show you some work that I've done, and I was here's a video I've made before so you could see me and see that I'm a normal person. Yeah, I'm really impressed by your level of trust. Did you not think for 1 second that I was a weirdo from the internet?
No.
No, come on. You weren't for 1 second
No, I wasn't.
Why not?
Because you were very matter of fact and
Okay.
very specific and detailed.
I put my best foot forward.
Usually when rando weirdos from the internet who are trying to fuck with you are they're not. They're
Scattered.
it's some outlandish story that wouldn't be true because they don't really understand what they're talking about.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And it really worked out great, I would say. We get along even more than I thought we would. We've become fast friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm stoked. It's definitely, it's cool to meet you and become friends regardless. But, the fact that we have this common interest is really fun.
Yeah.
And we have a few, we have a lot of common interests.
We do.
Actually. So, I don't know. I was really lucky, and I'm glad you were open to it. And I'm glad it's working out really well. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it too. Our friendship is bearing fruit.
I'm glad to.
Eat the fruit.
Yes.
All right, so Jen's last question. Oh wait, what's the hardest part for you? What's been the hardest part about sailing?
The hardest part for me of learning how to sail is having so much boat work to do. I never got a boat that was just totally easy and everything was just the way the survey said it was, or in the case where I got a boat without a survey, it was worse than I thought it was. So I'd say the hardest part for me is getting over the boat work and the engine work and actually getting to take the boat out regularly. Jen asks, are there any requests that you have for the sailing community at large to make sailing more inclusive? I would say my request of the sailing community at large is to become more politically involved in general, because I think the reason why there aren't more people of color in the sailing community is because of the larger economic inequalities in society as a whole. And I think that in order to get to the root of that problem, it's not just about, you know, what we do within the sailing community, it's addressing those problems with society as a whole. Like you have hyper-segregation, where it's like de facto segregation of people of color. Segregation is no longer legal, but because of the huge economic inequalities that are left over from slavery and lack of inherited wealth, between generations of black people or other people of color, this, like, you know, the same inequalities are repeating themselves throughout the years. And in order to place people on a more equal footing, we need to address social inequalities, or else that de facto segregation where black and white people are just happen to live in vastly different economic brackets and neighborhoods is not going to change, and then the same access problems are going to happen. There's not going to be as much access to not only sailing but any other pursuit that requires money. So I would urge people to look at those systemic inequalities and fight those inequalities and fight capitalism.
That's a good answer. It's really good. Definitely. Yeah, do that. We already answered that one from Marie. Did you find it easy or difficult to get an opportunity to be aboard a boat? Do you think we already answered that? Like, what is the... Well, no.
Did we?
No, because I said that's been the most difficult thing. But you... Like, what would be your answer? Was it easy or difficult?
For me, it was easy because after I watched that movie Made in Trip and I took the sailing class, I had actually lucked out in almost dying and getting money for it. I worked at a restaurant and I was eating lunch by the window and a little lady crashed her car through the window and hit me. So I got a settlement from that and I spent it on my first boat. So yeah, that was pretty easy for me.
So I kind of answered this previously. You guys know the story. I tried to sign up for sailing classes. They were full. But then I found Sarah, and maybe I could say that was easy then. Because,
I think it was.
Yeah, you're right.
It was pretty easy.
It's not like I reached out to several people and had to work hard to get there. But, so yeah, I guess it wasn't that hard. Wait, didn't I just say earlier that access was the hardest part?
Yeah, for most people, but some people get lucky.
Yeah.
You got lucky.
Yeah. So I guess not much has been difficult then, if the most difficult thing was not that difficult. I don't know. But
I'm happy to be so accommodating.
yeah, I mean, I think it was easy for me to get on a boat, but that was luck. You know, who are you gonna stumble across that's docked 7 minutes away?
Yeah, seriously, she just lives 7 minutes away from me.
Who's also a black female sailor.
Yeah, black lesbian.
Yeah, like, yeah, I don't know. That was luck, but I guess I'd have to admit that it was easy.
Yeah. So Marie asks, Erinn, what was it like being able to helm the boat for the first time?
It was... I actually was talking about this, yesterday? I was saying to Sarah that I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing at all. Like, so on his boat, he has a tiller, which is just a long stick attached to, help me out here.
Attached to the
What's that called? Rudder?
It's the rudder post. It's a long stick that's attached to the rudder joint that goes into the rudder and turns the rudder. It makes the boat steer in a certain direction. It steers.
But it's opposite, right? Like,
it's
so
opposite.
Because like with a wheel, if a wheel on a boat, you turn right, it goes right. Mm-hmm. But a tiller, you push it to the right to go left. Mm-hmm. So I kept messing that up to begin with, like at the beginning of my trying to do anything, and I would remember and correct. But I don't know, like it was hard to feel what the boat needed me to do to balance it and have the sails be perfectly full and sail correctly. Like, I don't know. I mean, I love driving and I think I'm a good driver. So I thought that those skills could somehow translate into driving a boat, but I don't think that it does.
I think they will.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think they will.
Okay.
You just...
When I get the hang of it?
When you get the... Yeah, you just have to get used to it.
I definitely was like, what am I doing right now? And then I was so... Another thing I was telling you is how disoriented I was. I feel like, and I'm not the type of person who gets lost easily, like on land. But when we pulled away from the land and there was just water all around and the land looked really small, like I couldn't see any landmarks, mm-hmm. I kind of lost track of where we were in relation to like where we came from, you know?
And you'll learn though. You'll learn different ways of marking where you are. Like you'll learn what direction you know the wind is coming from. Mm-hmm. You'll learn where the sun is. Another thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I mean, driving the boat and feeling like I'm navigating or traveling us somewhere was definitely it didn't happen. I felt like I was just holding on to the thing and trying to figure that out and being very lost and confused. So I wanna focus on that next time I'm on the boat. I want someone to explain to me. I mean, he kind of explained to me that like the arrow at the top, you kind of want to line up mm-hmm. the tabs on the back.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So I was just looking up, and I wasn't like aware of my space around me.
Well, okay, you know, we might be going on a different boat next time. What if I get us on a boat with a wheel?
It's a whole nother adventure then.
Would you like to stick to tillers?
No. I want it all. I want to learn all the stuff.
Cool.
So we'll see. What about you? What was the first time you helmed a boat?
Oh, the first time I helmed a boat.
How long was that?
That was in 2015. In June. But the first thing I remember is I bought a Catalina 27 and I helmed it during the sea trial. They gave me the tiller and you know, nothing bad happened. I think I did okay. But the first time I really remember is when I took the boat out for the first time and I brought my dad with me he'd never been sailing before. And I backed out of the slip and I backed all the way up out of the throughway. It was kind of, you know, I didn't do perfectly and I was kind of all over the place, but I got us out. But when I tried to dock, and then we sailed around Hat Island up by Everett because that's where the boat was. So I feel like I really took to using the tiller, and I just, you know, I just remember it's the opposite, and I could take to that. But when I came back in, I overshot the dock, and then we were just trying to push off of boats with boat hooks and reverse, but I couldn't, like... there was this lady on the next dock over who had to try to she told me what to do. She told me, I finally got backed up and I tried again, and she told me when to slam the tiller over, when to turn so that I would get into the slip, and she did a great job. And after that, I posted in the Women Who Sail Facebook group asking if anybody knows how to dock, who would want to teach me how to dock. And I met two wonderful people at Everett Marina who took me to the empty dock, and we just practiced docking for an hour and a half until I got really good at it. And ever since then, I've been able to dock the boat. Like, when I got subsequent boats after my first boat, like they had a heavier displacement, which like a heavier weight, which does a huge it really makes a difference in the turn radius. Like, so when you push the tiller over here, how fast is that boat going to turn? And with my current boat, even when the first time I turned into the slip, I overshot the dock because I wasn't used to the turn radius of my keel, my full keel boat. So yeah, that's docking is probably one of the hardest things to do with in terms of steering and pointing.
So your first time was on a sea trial and nothing happened, but your second time was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I guess to answer the question, the first time I really remember helming a boat was just on the sea trial. The broker gave me the tiller and I steered the boat, and I just remembered it was opposite everything. And
stop showing off that you remembered the opposite more than me.
I can't help it.
I can't help if I'm good at it, Erinn.
But you'll be
okay. Next question.
You'll be good. You'll be good.
I'll be good too. All right. Okay. Okay. So Marie asks, "What are your sailing plans for the future?" And you kind of said this before. Next summer, sail around Vancouver.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Solo. That's you.
Solo around Vancouver Island next summer.
And then solo
around the world.
Around the world. In how many years?
2 to 3.
Boom.
With stops and assistance. With stops to like different countries. I want to take the trade winds route, and with assistance, because you can't get a Guinness. I want to be the first black woman to sail around the world alone, but I can't get a Guinness if I go through the Panama Canal, because technically that has line handlers moving your boat through, so it's not like you moved your boat without being alone at a certain point in time, so you can't get a Guinness.
Wait, but you want a Guinness?
I don't need a Guinness.
Okay. You're not going to go down and around. You're going through Panama.
Like, I was really inspired by the way that Laura Decker did everything, because she was like, she wanted to be the youngest person to sail around the world alone, but it was more like for the experience for her. Like, she didn't care if she had the official record, but she still knew that she, like, by her own standard, that she did that. And that's kind of what I like, because I want the experience. I want to stop, like, I want to go to beautiful places. It's not just like how much freeze-dried food you can cram in your lockers that will last you for like the 9 months it takes to sail around the Southern Ocean. Like, I want more of like a holistic experience. So no, it's not just for a record, but I mean unofficially I will feel that way.
Yeah. It's official. Unofficially it's official.
Yeah.
My plans with sailing are that, I don't know, like what I envision is being a real relaxed situation. I kind of want to go out there for the peace and quiet and the fun of it. So living in Seattle, there's a lot of water up here, so definitely going to one of the little islands around here for like a weekend type thing, or for longer sails, kind of doing the coastline. I'm from LA. I have family in San Francisco and all up and down the coast. So it would be really cool to like sail to LA.
Oh,
that'd be crazy.
That's like, yeah, and that's the most treacherous stretch.
Is it?
Like one of the most treacherous
Maybe
places
not.
on the planet.
What?
Is the coastline of the West Coast.
Wow.
But you could have the experience.
No, I definitely think like that would be something I'd be into. Like if I could sail my boat to the Oregon coast, to San Francisco, like the West Coast is just amazingly beautiful, and I would love to just go up and down at will. And then I think at most it might be cool to cross over to Hawaii every so often when Sarah's on my boat and she can help me do it. Not solo.
I will totally help you sail a catamaran to Hawaii.
Yeah. And I want a cat, I want a cruise, I want it to just be beautiful and to have my cameras and... Yeah. And
cats are really good downwind. They're not as good upwind, but if you're going to Hawaii, you're right in the trade winds, you're all downwind pretty much, so it'll be a great sail for a cat.
We gotta do
You just gotta get the boat back somehow.
No, you just gotta get the boat back somehow. You and me both, at least. So cool. It's been really fun being in the video. I feel a little out of control because I can't see. I've got 3 cameras looking at me right now, but I can't see if any of them are actually working. So hopefully we got this and it looks good and you guys enjoy this video. And I'll be hopping back behind the camera now. Right now.
Right now.
Bye.
Okay, bye, Erinn.
So,
how do I look?
Been waiting for.
How do I look? It's my show now.
All right, so give them your outro. Whatever you want to talk about. Are we going back to boat repair next week? What are we doing?
All right, guys.
Whoa, you didn't warn me. I didn't know you were ready. Are you just like warming up or is this it? This is the big moment? Okay, go now.
All right, guys, that's it for this week. Next week, we've had a couple weeks off from boat work, but next week I really think we're going to get back to finishing installing the rest of those engine hoses. And that might involve having one of them pre-molded. So stay tuned for that and have a great week.